Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dhammam saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dotyampi bodham saranam gacchami. Dotyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dotyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi bodham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramirya maja pamadatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to abstain from killing. I undertake the precept to abstain from taking what is not given. I undertake the precept to abstain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the precept to abstain from false and malicious speech. I undertake the precept to abstain from intoxicants, which induce heedlessness. Karaniyang atta kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamecha. Sakko ujucha sujucha suvachocha samudu anantimani. Santusakocha subarocha Appakichocha sallahukavutti. Santindriyocha nipakocha appagabukulesu ananugido. Nachakudam samachare kinchiena vinyupade upavadeyum. Sukhino vakemino hontu Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata. Ye kechipana bhutati tasavatava anavasesa. Digavaye mahantava Madrimaraskanukatulla Dittavaye vaadita Ye chedure vasanti avidure Bhutava sambhave siva Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata Naparo parang nikubeta Nyati manyeta katta chinam kanchi Vyarosana patiga sanya Jnana manyasa dukkamicheya Mata yata niyang puttang Ayusa eka puttang anurake Evam pisabha bhutesu Manasang bhavaye aparimanang Mettang cha sabbalokasmim Manasang bhavaye aparimanang Uttang adocha tiriyancha Asampadang avirang asapatang Titang charang nisinova Sayanova yavatasa vigantamido Etang satim aditeya Brahmang etang viharang idamahu Ditting cha anupagama silava dasanena sampanno kame suvinaya gedam nahi jatu gabaseyang punyaeti. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depth, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
After the chanting, especially chanting on loving kindness, selfless love, or universal love, or unconditional love, let us now continue our practice with our hearts. Are we happy to be with our own selves? Can we ask this question? Am I really happy to be with myself? Are we really helping ourselves to grow up? Now we can look at some other area. How many prisoners are inside of us? How many people are being imprisoned inside of our mind? How many invisible cages, shells are there inside of us? how far we can be gentle, how far we can be flexible, and how far we can be tender towards others instead of making iron frames around them. Feel the freedom within. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the discussion. My name is Paul. I'm from Belgium. And as several times before, I have the pleasure to moderate or to facilitate the discussion. So if you have a question or if you would like to share something, you can do that in two ways. First of all, there is a chat box underneath your screen, and if you click on that, you can write a question or sharing, and you can send it to me. My name is Paul van Hooijdonk, Paulvan. Hooijdonk is a little difficult, but Paul van you will surely find. And then I will present the question to Upul. That is option number one. And option number two is that you simply raise your hand and that you ask a question live. I see that there are two questions in the question box already. So I'm going to have a look. Two questions are from the same person, Monja or Monja. So this is her question is quite long. Upul, dear community, have formulated the following question more precisely. So she repeats her question, but a little more precisely. What is the compass or the indicator by which we can orient ourselves to detect a mistake before we make it? What is the key for the handling? I have two examples that I cannot orient myself on. One, if people tell me I'm making a mistake, it's not necessarily correct. For example, if I do not fulfill some specific expectations of other people. Two, and if I think I'm doing something right, it may still be that I'm making a mistake. I believe even if we increase our awareness, still are able to make mistakes. It is natural. Thank you. So to summarize Monja's question, she asks, can we clearly know, how do we determine whether our actions or words are wholesome or unwholesome, whether we make a mistake or whether we do not make a mistake? Basically, if I understand the question well, that is it. So Upul, we are listening to your ideas.
Oh, thanks, my dear friend Paul, for again moderating this one-day retreat discussion. Well, how do we know that we are going to do a mistake? Simply, I think this is the first question. How do we know that we are going to do a mistake? Is that the question?
Yes, that is the question. So how can we be sure if what we do is good or not good, basically? Because sometimes we do not fulfill the expectation of other people and they consider that as a mistake, but that is not necessarily the case. And sometimes we do something good. Let me think. But it might, sometimes we think we do something good, but in actuality it is not wholesome. So yeah, basically that is the question. How do I know if I make a mistake or not?
Hello, Ampha.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for basically our intention might be good and we want to do right things. We think this is right, but others may judge it indifferently. So they think it's not good. It's not the right thing what we are doing. So yeah, dear friends, yeah, this is an eternal conflict, eternal issue, because each one has his or her own value system. So I have my own value system, what is right and wrong, and you have your own value systems, what is right and what is wrong. It depends on our religions, our belief systems, our generation, our culture, our country, and the way we think. Therefore, of course, some small differences and major differences. Therefore, how do we minimize these conflicts? How do we compromise ourselves with others? That's the challenge, and that's the thing what we have to do. The simple way is, it doesn't matter. It's good for me. What I'm doing is right. I don't care about what others says. So this is one of the extremes, insensitivity. Even though we are fully right, even though it is 100% perfect, but if you are living in a society, at least one person is there more than you, more than us, then we better to little bit concerned about the other person. If possible, we can discuss it before we act. I'm going to do this, and how do you think? How do you feel? What do you think? How it affects to you? If possible, we better to have a discussion, friendly conversation. Then we can understand each other, and sometimes we have certain blind spots. We cannot see everything, even though we are perfectly pure. Our intention is perfectly pure, but of course, there are blind spots. So we have to look at things from others' point of view as well. This is the first thing. And the second thing, while we are doing things, we better to reflect on circumstances and outcomes. Even before finish our action, while we are acting, while we are saying, while we are behaving, we better to look at others. For a simple example, while we are talking, we better to look at the other person's face and features, how it affects to this person. And we can, the face is one of the best indicator. Monia, you asked some indications or compass. Facial features are best indicators. So if we can look at the other person's eyes while we are talking, and if we are aware, then we can feel how it affects. And if it goes wrong way, if we feel that it hurts the other person, then we can change our tone, we can change the topic, or we can stop our talking and allow the other person to share his or her ideas and opinions. And the third thing, after we did something, after we said something, after a while we can go back and reflect on that. Yeah, our intention was good, and the action, it was also good. And now how it is, what is the outcome? We can listen to others' feedbacks. It's really important to allow others to give us their honest feedback. If we are humble, and if we are flexible, and if we are gentle, how much we are flexible, gentle, and humble, that much others can speak to us. And finally, mistake. That word is a mistake too. Because I think nobody does any mistake consciously. I am going to do a mistake. I think nobody is thinking in this way. Before act, everybody thinks this is the right thing. And even others may think, he's doing right thing, or she's saying right thing. So everybody believes this is the right thing. But after a while, after some time, we start to see new aspects which we didn't see before. So it happens to everybody. It happens to all the philosophers, very famous and genius scientists, artists, whatever they produce or they invent or they create, they say, this is my ultimate creation, perfect one. And after a while, after 5 years, 10 years, they say, it was a mistake. If I do now, I do something, I do differently. Even all the film directors said this. All the artists and philosophers and scientists. So our vision is limited. So within that limit, this is the right thing. But later, when we accumulate more information and data, of course, then we can improve it. So we are improving, not like mistake and correct it. We are improving ourselves. We are improving our activities. So instead of saying mistakes, better to say we have to improve. I think it's enough.
Thank you, Upul. I will try to briefly summarize for Monja and for everybody what you just said. Sometimes we think that what we do is good, but others might think differently. This is an eternal issue. We all have our own value system, and that value system depends on our culture, on our religion, on our upbringing, on our environment. Now, how do we minimize these conflicts? There is one extreme that says, I don't care about other people. I do what I want. But if we live in a society together with other people, we need to have concern for other people as well. So it is good to discuss it. How do you feel about my decision, or about what I said, or about what I did? We have a friendly conversation, and that enables us to understand the other, because we can have blind spots, things that we do not see from ourselves, we are not aware of. Another thing is, while we are doing things, we can better reflect on the circumstances, look at others at the same time. For example, when I am talking, you can look at the facial expression of the person I am talking with. And Monja, you asked for an indication. Well, this is a good indicator, the facial expression of the person you are communicating with. So we can consider how the other person reacts, and also adapt our behavior according to that. Third thing is, after we have said something or after we have done something, we can reflect on that. So we can consider the outcome, and we can ask for feedback. How was it for you that I did that or that I said that? So the more flexible, the more gentle, the more humble we are, the more we will be inclined to do that, to ask for feedback. And then the last thing that Upul mentioned was, Monja, you were talking about making a mistake. How do we know that we make a mistake or not? Nobody makes any mistake consciously. Everybody thinks I am doing the right thing. But after a while, we start to see aspects that we had not seen before. Even great philosophers and great scientists, when they say, this is my ultimate creation, I have come to an ultimate conclusion, sometime later, they might say, I might do it different now. Or I have, in the meantime, I have a different insight. So our vision is limited. We think that we do the right thing, but when we collect more information or more data, that our view might change. So Monja, this was, I think, Upul's answer. Is that a clear and satisfying answer for you?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In the meantime, there is another question in the question box, a question from our good friend Kema. Again, it is quite a long question. I completely agree that open and honest communication and negotiation is very helpful for all of us. However, sometimes the other person refuses to talk or ignores us, sometimes repeatedly. This is a very painful issue and prevents problems from being resolved. How do we deal with such a person and such a situation? So very recognizable for me personally and probably for many people. Kema, thank you for raising this question. So the question is basically, Kema agrees. She says it's very good to communicate openly and honestly, but sometimes the other person does not want to communicate, does not want to talk, and he or she ignores us or refuses to talk. And then the issue does not get solved. So how to deal with this situation? Again, Upul, I give the word to you.
Thanks, Paul, again. Well, dear Kema, it might be a way of communication, being silent. So we have to learn this language as well, because some people are very talented of verbal communication. Maybe that's their characteristic quality. And some people communicate differently. So we cannot expect same nature from everybody. So it's difficult. I know it's difficult, but as a teacher, you are a teacher, so you know each student in your classroom, all are not same. They are different. Some students are very talkative, very forward, and some students are not. But we can't put everybody in the same box, in the same frame. We have to respect to their different characteristic qualities. So it's our skill. We have to cultivate that skill to understand others, even though they do not talk. So this brings another very important aspect. We cannot understand anybody fully, even though they talk. Even though they talk and talk and talk and talk all the time, but still we cannot understand fully. So if we cannot understand a person who is always talking, then how possible to understand a person who is not talking? So always this barrier is there. We have to understand this limitation. This barrier is always there. The nature does not give us a full chance to understand each other's completely. The nature needs conflicts. That's why existence happens. Existence happens out of conflicts. Samsara. So therefore, sometimes we have to give up. If no choice, then we have to give up, or we have to wait. So let us wait.
Thank you. So again, a brief summary. So Kema, being silent might be a way of communication, a way of communicating. We have to learn that language as well, the language of silence. Some people use words, and other people communicate in a different way, through silence. We are all different, and we cannot expect that everybody communicates in the same way as ourselves. So we have to cultivate the skill of understanding others, even if they do not talk. We can never understand others for 100%. There is always a limitation, and nature needs conflict. Existence, or samsara, happens out of conflict. So sometimes we have to give up, or sometimes we have to wait. So I'm looking for Kema, if I can see her on the screen. Kema, hello. So Kema, was this a clear answer for you?
Yes, it's a clear answer, and I think I need to reflect on it further. And I would just like to add something as well, because I'm a very naturally quiet person. If I have a chance to talk or be quiet and be silent, normally I prefer to be silent. But the way my life is going, the way my practice is going, I feel the need more and more to speak out about things. And I think that's actually a healthy balance for me. You know, sometimes it's not healthy for me to stay silent about something, because then I'm sitting on something, I'm suppressing something, I'm not seeing something in myself. So obviously I can't control others. I can't make them talk if they don't want to talk. And yeah, we need a lot of patience and sensitivity to deal with others and their own emotions, and perhaps they're staying silent because there's something painful or difficult for them. I can understand that. But for me personally, I need to actually speak out more, because I realize if I don't say the right thing at the right time, if I don't actually express my feelings, then there's a tendency for them to explode later in one way or another. And sometimes I don't even know what's there until I've verbalized it. So for me, that's a journey, learning to be more verbal, whereas my tendency is to be less verbal. And I see that as fitting in with Vipassana. Vipassana is seeing things in different ways and bringing things to light. And sometimes by voicing things, we bring them to light. Sometimes we are angry with someone. And if we just say, if we learn to say in as nice a way as possible, look, I'm not happy about this. Can we talk about this? This is actually more healthy than just keeping quiet and saying, well, whatever I feel doesn't matter, you know, it's all anicca or it's all anatta. And sometimes we try to go for the highest goal and we don't start from where we are. So sometimes just simply, I feel this about this. It's very healthy to say that to yourself and to say that to the other, hopefully in a skillful way. So this is something that really interests me at the moment, how to communicate skillfully.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a wonderful sharing. So, yeah, maybe I present it. I'll bring it back to Upul. Maybe he has to say something. So normally Kema is silent, but she is at this point in her life. She feels better if she speaks out. Normally she doesn't express. In the past she did not express things. And then sometimes it was too much. It came to a point of an explosion. So she's learning to be more verbal, to express what is there in a skillful way. And Vipassana or insight basically means bringing things to light. So expressing things or verbalizing things is a way to become conscious of what is there, of bringing things into light, and that is healthy. So it is healthy to verbalize, it is healthy to share, and I feel it is healthy for myself and for others. That is basically what Kema just said, I believe. So Upul, do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, I also agree with Kema. It's really healthy if we can communicate, either verbal communication or in written communication or whatever. But what I want to say is that sometimes it doesn't happen. Maybe the other person is not here. Maybe he or she is already passed away. So how to communicate? Then we need a person who can contact other worlds to find that person where he is and channeling, something like that. So there are certain things that we had to give up. We had to give up. If you are clinging it and holding it, the result is that we are suffering. We are suffering. So better to we give up. And after giving up, when the right time comes, maybe there will be an opportunity or chance to understand clearly what happened. And the last thing, maybe the other one is keeping quiet because of my some reactions. It might be my reactions. Who knows? Maybe. So we can reflect on that part too. What I have done. Maybe the other person wants to give us a chance to reflect on our own actions and reactions. So we can use this isolated or quiet period to look at ourselves deeply.
Thank you, Upul. So, Kema, Upul said that he agreed with what you said. Communication is healthy, verbal or written. But what he wanted to say is that sometimes it simply doesn't happen. The other person is not there, or maybe the other person has passed away already. Sometimes we have to give up certain things. And then when we hold them, that is the cause for our suffering. And then maybe when the right time comes, we might understand. And then the last thing, maybe the other person is quiet because of my reaction. So it is good to reflect on this. Do you wish to add anything else, Kema, to what Upul just said?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So I go to the chat box and there is a question from Claudia. Yeah, so Claudia, dear Upul, you talked about expectations creating suffering, and Claudia just raised her hand. So maybe you would like to say something, Claudia? Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's easier. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Upul. Before you talked about expectations and that they create suffering, and I totally agree with that. But you also said that we should talk about our expectations with our partners, friends, whatever. But doesn't that mean to watering the seed of the ego? Because you said before that expectations comes from the ego. So, and if I talk about my expectations, it means I feed the ego. Am I wrong, or just didn't I understand it right? So please be good to get an answer. I'm less confused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Claudia. So expectations create suffering is what you said, Upul. And it's also important to talk about expectations, but expectations come from the ego. So if I talk about expectations, am I feeding the ego? That is basically Claudia's question.
Well, did I say like that expectations cause suffering? Anyhow, there are two kinds of expectations. We can categorize into two categories all of our expectations. One expectation is one kind of expectations is realistic, reasonable expectations. And the other one, you can imagine unrealistic and unreasonable expectations. And you are speaking about the ego. Usually the ego doesn't care about this reality. What's the reality? What other person can do? What other person can give? How much other person can give us? Is there any limitation? So usually the ego doesn't care about it. That's the thing what I wanted to share with you in this morning or in the afternoon, that the ego is creating expectations freely. There is no limit for the ego. Even the sky is not the limit for the ego. It can create expectations freely. It doesn't care about the limitations of boundaries, own limitations as well as others' limitations. And but when we come to the practical life, then of course thousands of limitations and boundaries are there, own limitations and others' limitations. Then some expectations are not realistic and not reasonable. So we have to let go of them. If we are holding those unrealistic and unreasonable expectations, then of course we have to suffer, and also others have to suffer because of our unreasonable expectations. So we can minimize and reduce our suffering by understanding this egoistic and unrealistic expectations. But of course, we need expectations. If no expectations, then I don't know how to live. To live, we need expectations. So to maintain realistic and reasonable expectations, we need discussions. If you are having a relationship, so you have to discuss with the other person. And these two things, what do you expect from the other person? What do you really expect from the other person? And we better to also ask this question from the other one, what do you expect from me? And then we can see how far we can negotiate and sacrifice. So both are important for relationships, negotiation and sacrificing. To do both, we need understanding, and to understand, one of the best ways is communication.
Okay, Claudia. So basically, Upal said there are two kinds of expectations: reasonable on the one hand, and unreasonable or unrealistic expectations on the other hand. The ego doesn't care whether expectations are realistic or not, and whether other people can fulfill them or not. So there are no limits to the expectations for the ego. So from a practical point of view, we need to let go of unrealistic expectations to minimize our suffering. To maintain realistic expectations, we need to communicate, we need to talk, we need to discuss. What do you expect from the other person? And what do you expect from me, and what do I expect from you, basically? And then we can negotiate, and then we can come to understanding. Is there anything you would like to add to that?
Okay, I guess I understand, but how to realize or to recognize the different, what's a reasonable and realistic expectation and unrealistic one? For me, I'm personally struggling with expectation. For me, is an expectation always suffering. So how to see the difference, how to feel the difference between what's is realistic and what's unrealistic expectation? Or is it just to recognize in a communication with the other person? Or can I feel this by myself, or do I need somebody to talk to? You understand?
Yes. So Upal, how do we know whether Expectation is realistic or not?
Yeah, well, dear Claudia, it's not easy. It's not easy because even you don't know what do you expect from the other one. Even, yeah, that's the reality. We have to accept this reality. Even we are not sure about our own expectations, what we are really expecting from others. And yeah, if somebody asks, Upul, what do you expect from me? It's very difficult to answer because of course, my ego expects so many things, and mind expects, heart expects, but I may not aware about all those expectations. Sometimes what the ego is expecting could be different than what my heart is expecting and what my intellectuality is expecting and what my emotions are expecting. So even within oneself, it's not clear. It's a mess. Very difficult to clarify these things. So yeah, I'm totally agree with you, dear Claudia. Working with expectations is not easy. It is not easy. It is very easier to work with the smartphone. Very easy to understand, but very difficult to understand a human person, because some surface expectations, some underlying expectations, some hidden expectations. So we have to work day by day. It is not something like I have fully understood you, nothing, no more, nothing there to understand anymore. We cannot say like that for humans. For other things, yes, maybe, but for humans, every day we had to work until either ourselves or the other person passed away. So one day we passed away with a small understanding and a lot of things to be understood.
We are not aware of all our expectations. It is difficult to clarify. Working with expectations is not easy. There are surface expectations, underlying expectations, hidden expectations. It is daily work, day by day, until our death. Claudia, you have anything else to add? No. Okay, thank you. I have a look at the chat box. There is no question in the chat box, so maybe somebody would like to, yeah, Mar raised her hand. Please, Mar.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Paul. There is a question that maybe is related with what Claudia talking about, the expectations. So, yeah, Upul, you say that the true love come with the selflessness, and the selflessness come from the true love. So I am wondering, no, when the people I love, always there is I don't feel there is completely selflessness there. No, how can we describe what is true love and what is selflessness also about? Because I think it's also related with expectations as well. So how can we find this this balance, no, between what is really true love? And I think always underneath there is something that you expect from others that you love already.
Okay, Mar, I summarize what I have understood. So you said true love comes from selflessness. The people I love, that is not completely without selflessness. So there is an aspect of self or selfishness, a part of it, if I understood it well. So what is true selfless love? Is that the question? Did I understand it well?
Yeah. I would like to Upul say what we understand for true love, and we understand with selflessness, because it's two concepts that one comes from the other.
Okay. So what two things? What is true love and what is selflessness? Okay, thank you. Upul, we are listening to you again.
Well, dear Ma, as I said, that we attach to ourselves more than anybody else and more than anything else. That is called self or ego. We attach to ourselves. Attach means we attach to our needs as well. Needs. We have physical needs, psychological needs, emotional needs, social needs, and spiritual needs. So there are 5 different kinds of needs. And we attach to all of these needs. And we are looking looking for a way to fulfill those needs. We don't know how to live with needs without fulfilling them. So we don't know this. And also we don't know how to let go of needs or without creating needs. Therefore, we are always looking for a way to fulfill every single need. Physical, psychological, emotional, social, and spiritual, whatever. And so that's why we attach to food. That's why we attach to certain environments. That's why we attach to entertainments. Because we can use them to fulfill certain kinds of our needs. And so that's why we attach to others, other people. We can fulfill all those needs with the human being. And if we think that someone else can fulfill those needs, our needs, then we attach to that person more than anyone else. So we attached ourselves. That's no doubt about it. And secondly, now we attach to the other person because that other person, we think that person is fulfilling all of our needs or some of our needs. And basically we say love for this, love for this. And yeah, we can say love. It's okay to use whatever word. But then we are using other people. So sake of this word, what we are doing is we are using others to fulfill our needs. As long as they are fulfilling our needs, that much we love them. And whenever we realize this, that now they are not fulfilling our needs, then what happens to that love? Can we maintain same amount of pure love even though the other one is not fulfilling it any longer? No, it is disappearing, disappearing, disappearing. And maybe it transforms into some other emotions, disappointments, dislike, hatred, so and so. So basically, this is the reality. I am not saying this is wrong or bad, but this is the reality. And so you are asking what pure love is or what the true love is. It is not depending on fulfilling our needs. So either we are not interested in fulfilling our needs, or no need. We don't have any need. We are okay. We are full. Actually, the true love, the real love, comes from this fullness. If some vacuum is inside of us, then that love is not pure. That's okay. We are in this position. That's okay. But then it becomes a business.
Thank you, Mar. We make an attempt to summarize what Upul said. So when we attach ourselves, that is the ego. The ego has certain needs that need to be satisfied. Physical needs, emotional needs, psychological needs, spiritual needs. And we are looking for a way to fulfill those needs. That is certain food, to entertainment, to an environment, and to other people. Because we think that they will fulfill our need. Fulfills our needs, then we attach to that person. And we call that love. We say we love them. But we are actually using the other to fulfill our needs. As long as they fulfill our needs, we say that we love them. And when they don't fulfill our needs anymore, is there still love? Maybe our love transforms into another emotion then. So maybe our love depends on the fulfillment of our needs. Ego. What is true love then? True love is not dependent on the fulfillment of our needs. I find this very interesting. Or there is no need at all. We are completely okay. We are completely fulfilled. So if there is a vacuum, our love is not really pure. So to summarize, to repeat the core of the answer of what Upul said, true love does not depend on the fulfillment of our needs. It is always there, whether our needs are fulfilled or not. And that is a difference between egotistical love, which expects our needs to be fulfilled, and selfless love, which is always there. Thank you very much, Upul, for this wonderful answer. I think very helpful for many people. Mar, is there anything you want to add? Two questions in the chat box, and I see that we still have 10 minutes, so let me have a look here. Aha, okay. Yeah, all right. So maybe a very practical question from Gerry van Dijk. She asks, when can I join the retreats in Ilambe again? Is there a schedule online? So basically, somebody would like to participate live in a retreat in Ilambe. When is that possible? That's question number one. And question number two is from Upika. She would like to ask a question live. You can do that, Upika. I see your hand, the yellow hand. In the meantime, you found the right button. So, Upu, when can we come to Ilambe again?
Whenever you want, you can come.
That's clear.
So whenever you are here, you have to do meditation. So you can't do anything else. Then it would be a retreat.
Perfect. Thank you, Upu. Upika, please go ahead.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul, and everyone. Can you hear me okay? I find that when I'm interacting with people and I notice that I don't like them or I'm having a lot of like discomfort in the interaction, it's because that other person is showing qualities that I don't like in myself. And I notice that I'm having this kind of strong reaction because I feel like they're just mirroring that to me. And I'm wondering how to just how to deal with it when it happens. So for example, sometimes I get very anxious and I don't like that about myself, and I try to, work on that. But then if I'm being with somebody who's very anxious, then I just I react. I'm not outwardly so much, but I feel very uncomfortable inside. And it's because I think, I don't know, I don't like that quality in myself. And that's just one example. And I just wanted to ask for some advice on how to deal with the situation, because that person is not doing anything bad to me. It's not like they're doing something that would warrant me getting upset. So that's the question.
Thank you, Upika. When Upika is interacting with other people and she feels dislike, she realizes that the other person is simply mirroring qualities that she doesn't like in herself. So how to deal with that in a skillful way?
Good morning, Upekka.
Good morning.
And what you are saying is very practical, and we all are experiencing this. It is very obvious that if somebody is doing something, and if we don't like, if we dislike, then that reactions we can easily understand. It's very reasonable. But without having any evidence or without having any facts, sometimes we have this irritation. The other person doesn't do anything, so-called wrong or bad things. But sometimes in the very first meeting, some kind of resistance we experience, irritation, rejection, something like this is not the right one for whatever, for this job, for this responsibility, or for whatever. He's not the right one, or she's not the right one. Some kind of intuition comes. And so we all are experiencing this. And you're asking why? What is the reason?
Well,
so Oh, yes, Upekka?
Not exactly. It's that when I see somebody exhibiting qualities in me that I don't like, I just want to get away from them. And then I realize it's probably because I want to get away from seeing that quality of myself. Like if somebody's behaving in a way that I do sometimes that I don't like, for example, being needy or being anxious, and I just think that it has to do with me not being able to accept myself. And I just wanted to get some tips or something on how to deal with this type of interaction with the other person and also with myself.
Yeah, that means you know why you don't like this person. Because he or she is doing so-called wrong things, act wrongly and badly. So it's very clear. If we can go away from that person, then no problem. After one incident, if we can close the file, close the chapter with that person, then easier to handle it because no more conflicts. But the world that we are living is not like that. The life that we are spending is not allowing us to close chapters quickly. So sometimes we had to carry on those interactions, even though it hurts us and it causes conflicts in between us. So once again, I have to say this is the life. So living is not easy. Living is not easy at all. There are a lot of difficulties. So that's why we are struggling. So actually living is, we are living only for a few moments. For most of the times, what we are doing is struggling and struggling and struggling. And we say living for struggle. I think living is something else, not struggling. When all kinds of struggles are no more, only then the living begins. But anyhow, I can give you a couple of tools to work with this. The first thing is, can you see good qualities of the other person? At least one good quality. Of course, maybe 10 of bad qualities, wrong behaviors, but can you find at least one single good action, beautiful quality out of 100 of bad qualities? This is important. Sometimes when people talk with me about their problems, they start to blame to someone. Maybe husband starts to blame to wife, or wife starts to blame to husband, or to children, or to parents. And they think they are suffering because of other person, because of other person's negative qualities, negative behaviors. And when they start to talk, they talk and talk and talk and talk hours and hours and hours about the other person's negativities. So all are negative. Everything is negative. So I'm listening, and then they repeat same for first time, for the second time, for Tatiyampi, they repeat. And so after repeating third time, I say, thank you. You are a good observer. You are a very good observer and very good judge. You should be a judge instead of whatever you are doing now. Anyhow, can you find out or discover any beautiful quality of your husband or wife or your parents or your children? One single beautiful quality. And then they start to laugh. In the beginning, they were very serious, and very emotional, angry when they talk about negativities. But when I ask this question, is there any beautiful quality in your wife's or husband's life? So this is one thing. We had to look at both sides. We had to do it consciously. Automatically, what happens is always highlights negative things. That happens automatically. So that's why we had to do it with effort, intentionally, to look at good things. And the second thing is, if the other person is carrying some negativities, not mainly because of him or herself. Maybe those negativities came to us from others, maybe generation by generations, maybe from the culture, from our childhood experiences or something. So we are not 100% responsible for what we are doing. Of course, maybe 90%, but not 100%. We are victims. We all are victims of external impulses. So when we can discover this, then some kind of mercifulness or kindness, we can open the door for kindness and mercy. And that means this person needs help. This person needs help. Maybe I can help. Maybe I am not the right one to help him or her, but he or she needs help. So nobody helps him so far. That's why he or she is still carrying these negativities. So if you can find a way to help that person directly from yourself or indirectly, better to do. And the last thing, even though the whole world is helping, but sometimes we cannot change others. The whole world is asking them to change and willing to help, but still some people are, it's difficult for some people to change themselves. That means this is not the right time to change, right time to approach. So we had to wait, we had to be patient.
Okay, Upeka, I will briefly summarize Upul's answer about how to deal with irritations that you experience when communicating with other people. Three tools basically Upul gave. One, can you also see good qualities in the other, at least one? So Upul was talking about people who were complaining about their partner, talking a lot, speaking negatively, and then he would ask, can you mention one beautiful quality? And then the person would start to laugh. So we have the tendency, or we highlight negativity. So it is good to remind us of the positive quality of the other. That's tool number one. Tool number two, if the other person carries negativity, maybe it is not his or her fault. Maybe it's due to the environment or the upbringing or something. And that means that we can feel mercy and that the other person needs help. Are you still listening, Upeka? Are you still there?
Yes, I am. My 3-year-old just came down naked,
Okay.
climbing around and stole some chocolate. And so I was hearing that sound, and so I put it on mute, and now I'm trying to put clothes on him.
Okay. And then the third tool is, even though the whole world is helping, some people simply cannot. That means that it is not the right time for that. So it is 5:05, Upul. Before I give you the final word to come to a conclusion or to do whatever you would like to do, I would like to mention to everybody that people who would like to give dana, who would like to contribute financially, so Nilambe can continue its work, you can do so in the invitation letter that you received from our host Mar. Her bank account number, which is a Spanish one, is mentioned. So you can put some money on that bank account, and then that money will be given to Upul. There is one more thing that I want to say, and that is that just specified her question. She did not only want to know if the lamp is open already, but if there are guided retreats happening already. When can we participate in a guided retreat? So that is, I think, the last practical question that I would like to mention. And then I give the word to you, Upul, for coming to a conclusion or whatever. And I see that Upeka is in the company of her. Okay.
Oh, thanks, dear Paul, for moderating this beautiful discussion. Even though answers are not beautiful, but the discussion is beautiful. And I'm really glad to be with you once again and doing this Dhammadana. Sharing our experiences with others is really mean a lot for me. So I'm grateful for you, dear Paul. And thanks for organizing this retreat, one-day retreat again, dear Ma. Even though you are so busy with your work, you made it nicely and timely. And also you have taught the yoga class, Mindful in Motion, today. And everybody likes this. Your yoga teachings more than my meditation teachings. So, thanks, dear Ma. And also thanks, dear Claudia, for supporting to organize this retreat and also doing nice chanting, powerful chanting. And dear friends, we all are very happy and very fortunate to have these opportunities again and again to meditate together at least once a month, even though we are in different places in this planet. But somehow we are fortunate enough to sit together and talk together and meditate together. And what else? If we are guided retreats, if you can come as a group, then of course we can do a guided retreat. If you organize a group, so then we can fix a date and do guided retreat. But if you want to come alone, that's okay. Still we can meditate together. So that's all. That's all. I hope this today retreat helps all of you to accelerate your journey. And this, I hope this brings some light also into the path. So once again, thanks. Thank you very much for all of you to be Nilambe friends, Nilambe colleagues, spiritual sisters and brothers of Nilambe. And
Thank you, sir.
you are welcome. You are welcome.
Thirwan Saranai, sir.
Thirwan Saranai. So what to say? Then good night, good afternoon, good evening, and may we have a nice day.
Yeah, Mr. Upo, I just want to say thank you very much and the team for organizing it. And I know that, I'm worried about Sri Lanka because of what's happening right now. And I just really hope that all of you that are in Sri Lanka are well, and that I really hope that peace will come, and really, really grateful that at this difficult time that we still have the Sangha going on today. Really, really grateful. Thank you.